Welcome to another edition of New York Got Game, coming to you from Madison Square Garden, where the Knicks won their sixth straight game, 112-100 over the Lakers. I'm joined by Stefan Bondy, great beat writer, covering the Knicks for us here at the New York Post. Steph, we're going to get into the stuff that people really want to know about. This week is the week of the trade deadline. Everybody wants to know what's going to happen, what's going down. I guess my question to you is, when we talked about this before the start of the season, Steph, the expectations into this season and how big of a season it was for the Knicks. Is this the biggest trade deadline for the Knicks, I'll say, this century? We considering all the weight of expectations, considering what James Dolan said about this team has to get to the finals. So what kind of weight does that put on this trade deadline?
No, I wouldn't say it's the biggest. I mean, because when it's all said and done, they have their roster in place for the most part.
Right.
Before, in previous years, they had all these draft picks that they were dangling, and I understand Mikal Bridges wasn't required at the trade deadline; he was required at the draft.
Right.
But those were bigger deals when they got Cat, when they got Mikal Bridges. Now it's just tinkering around. They have their core in place. Now it's just tinkering around the edges, unless. And I'm sure you're going to bring them up.
You went there.
I said unless.
You had to, unless.
Unless the Greek Freak comes to New York, which I do still think, and I've said it all along, is a very, very much a long shot.
Okay, we're going to get to
By the deadline.
By the deadline. Yeah, he's not saying never, so never say never. There's hope. There's still hope.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, then. If you're the Knicks and you're approaching this deadline, okay, maybe it's too much to say that it's the biggest trade deadline of the century, but what should the Knicks be looking to accomplish here at this deadline, if anything, or do you think it's likely to stay with the same roster?
Well, I think they can work around the edges. We've seen certainly in stints during the season when there are injuries and their depth is kind of compromised, that they could use that extra ball handler, that extra defender from a guard. They could use some front court depth. We know about Mitchell Robinson's injury history. There are young players who've shown they're not quite ready to play. I'm talking about Ariel Horporty, Pacome Dadier. So you can upgrade the end of the bench, certainly. And one guy that they've been looking at for a long time, we mentioned him a long time ago, was Jose Alvarado from the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yep.
So he's kind of that ball handler / feisty defender that they're missing. But Tyler Kolek has shown, and he showed for flashes today, that sometimes he's up for the challenge as well.
He's been doing it in some big games too, which is very interesting there. Okay, let's go to Giannis real quick. Let's just get the Giannis thing out there. You kind of brought it up. You don't think well, let me ask this. People love percentages. What would you say is the percentage chance that the Knicks land Giannis Antetokounmpo by Thursday?
By Thursday, 10%.
Yes. So 10. So you're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance.
Okay.
There's a chance.
Steph said there's a chance.
I really don't know how Giannis is going to play this. I don't think anybody knows that.
Right.
Maybe he's given indications to other people, but I do not know how he's. Because if he comes out and says, "Listen, I'm not signing an extension anywhere but New York," that obviously changes the percentage. I don't think he's going to say that. I think New York, from people I've talked to, New York's biggest opportunity was during the summer when they had this exclusive negotiating window,
right,
and Milwaukee wasn't talking to other teams. Now you've opened up the sweepstakes. You've opened up the floodgates. There are several teams that are obviously interested in the best player in the Eastern Conference, and the Knicks, as constituted, cannot win a bidding war. They don't have the draft picks to do it. Now they could flip, some of their players, get draft picks back and work these crazy, complicated 3-team trades. I just don't think it's feasible at this point.
And we did on a recent episode, tried to go through some 3-team trades. They are very complicated and hard to do. So I don't envy anybody trying to do this. Okay, I'm going to go through some players here. Have you heard anything about the Knicks with Gershon Yabusele? We know that he has not had a good season. It looks like it hasn't been a good fit. What are you hearing about the Knicks if they're trying to move him, and what's his value out there?
Yeah, so, they're talking to multiple teams. They are trying to move him, and I think that's really, it's a two-part thing. It's the Knicks want to get somebody back who will be able to help them, because Gershon's not helping them, but also they're trying to help out a guy who was signed here, didn't know he was joining a system. He was signed before Mike Brown was the coach.
Right.
Didn't know he was joining a system that it is, and trying to help somebody out who is a CAA client. So there's that aspect, and then they are talking to multiple teams. His value is not great right now. They might have to attach second-round picks, one or two, to acquire a player that might be able to help them if you're just looking to unload just Yabusele.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to have to attach something if they're going to try to unload him. Two players I want to ask, two guards on his team.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Tyler Kolek before. We know that he looked really good through the cup run. Then he had some downtime through January. To be fair, the whole team really did in that 2-9 stretch. He's looked better as of late. Jordan Clarkson, the other player I mentioned, he's out of the rotation. Do you think it's likely that either of those guards by the Knicks are moved by Thursday?
It depends on what you're getting back. I think the problem with Jordan Clarkson, obviously he's an expiring contract, so you wouldn't have very much difficulty getting off him. Other than, I don't see a team that makes any sense for him from what the Knicks are looking at back. In other words, he's a veteran player.
Right.
You're not going to look to acquire him and develop him and build him. And I don't think there are contending teams right now that would be interested in swapping with the Knicks based on, who the Knicks want and who the Knicks and how the Knicks can operate as a team so hard capped at the second apron. I just don't. Maybe he's out there. I don't see a trade out there that makes sense with Jordan Clarkson. Tyler Kolek, I believe, has some value out there, but he does have an extra year on his contract. I don't think that he's such a positive asset that he can bring back a guy. Like, you can't just swap out Tyler Kolek for Jose Alvarado. The
Right.
Pelicans would say, yeah, let's do that. He doesn't have that kind of value.
Now, you mentioned Jose Alvarado. You've brought him up. We've talked about his name before. You think he would be a good fit for a couple of reasons, right? One, he could be a backup point guard you could trust in the playoffs. Two, point of attack defender. No, he's a little undersized, but he can do that. Do you think it is likely they could land Alvarado? You kind of talked about the price of what it would take for him, but do you think the Knicks could land him, or is it likely that he even gets moved from New Orleans? Are they even looking to move him?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can land him. I think the question, one thing I've heard, interestingly, and you wouldn't have guessed this, is that he doesn't want to leave New Orleans. And when I heard that, it gave me pause.
So a New York guy doesn't want to leave New York to come back?
And maybe it's because he's getting, he's got playing time out there. You come to New York, you don't, as Tyler Kolek can attest, you could be in the rotation one day,
That's a fair point.
and then the next day you're collecting DMPs. So maybe fear of the unknown. I have no idea, but that is something that's out there right now.
Okay, that's something that's out there. That's very interesting. So Tyler Kolek, there's a couple other guys. Yves Missi, backup big for New Orleans.
Knicks have looked into him.
Looked into him?
And
okay.
Here's the problem. And I know that I've got this from multiple sources. The Pelicans want. He's a recent first-round pick. In order to acquire him, they want a first-round pick.
Would they be interested? I'm going to just put it out here.
Okay.
Would they be interested in the Washington first-round pick, which we know is absolutely going to convey to 2 second-round picks? But would they be interested in that? Is that enough to get him, or no?
I don't know if that's enough to get him. I did pose this question to somebody involved in the situation, and they said interesting.
I was going to use the same word. I'm like, that's interesting. So it's not a no.
Yeah.
There's still a chance. If they were to get a player like Yves Missi, right, just to say, because that's kind of like a luxury big. And
like, would you want to waste your biggest asset on that? I don't know.
I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
And even though I do think it's insurance if Mitchell Robinson doesn't stay healthy, because that's the thinking right behind it, right, that you would maybe want to do that. So I probably wouldn't.
Okay.
What would you do?
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't really scouted Yves Missi very much, so I don't know where he's at. I know he's young, so it would give me pause. Like, we're bringing a guy to win today, not to develop in the future. We're bringing a guy that can jump into the playoffs and knows what he's doing. So that's why I probably say, I don't want to waste my biggest assets, draft assets on that.
Okay, so I'm going to go to another guy who I think could be a little bit cheaper. Plays in the Western Conference too. Nick Richards of the Suns.
Okay.
We know the Knicks have had some interest in him in previous years. Any chance they could pry Nick Richards away, who's out of the rotation with the Suns right now?
I know they were interested in the past, and I know that because he's a Kentucky guy, right?
Yep.
He's a Kentucky guy with close ties to William Wesley. I think William Wesley wanted to draft him when he was draft eligible. So it would not shock me at all if the Knicks tried to get Nick Richards. As far as his impact, listen, he's bounced around. I don't know.
Don't know. Okay.
Don't know.
Sorry. Wish we had more for you. All right, we're gonna get a couple more things really quick. Najee Marshall from Dallas. We saw him carve up the Knicks.
I don't think he's getting.
Okay, so it's going to cost too much.
Cost too much.
That's what I thought. He's on a very team-friendly contract. Steph, shut that down real quick.
Unless, I mean, now, do we want to throw in McBride? Now,
the fans are going to say no.
Yeah, so not like, listen.
But to your point, that's a cost, right? That's what it's going to cost a good young player like McBride on a friendly contract, probably with picks, to get a Najee Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, if you're throwing in McBride, maybe you don't need to throw in picks. But if you're looking at the asset list and you're ranking them, McBride is their young player, that you can look as close to a blue chip prospect. That's their one guy.
I agree
on
with
a
that.
team-friendly contract.
On a team-friendly contract. Okay. Sadiq Bey, go back to New Orleans. Another player, Villanova ties, can bring you a little physicality, can shoot the ball from the outside. What are you hearing about him and his possible cost of the Knicks landing?
I've not heard that name in terms of the Knicks going after him or anything like that.
Okay, haven't heard his name at all. Is there a name that maybe fans might not be thinking about, or a team fans might not be thinking about, that the Knicks may be looking to deal with this?
So the Bulls point guard, and I don't want to butcher his name.
Sumo.
There you go.
I would assume.
There, you got it better than me.
All right.
Problem with him, he's a good defensive guard. He can handle the rock. He gave the Knicks fits when they played him in Chicago. But he does cost a lot.
He would be costly as well too. All right, last thing for me. All right, here we go, because we have a lot more to talk about with this week. What does a successful trade deadline look for the New York Knicks this week?
A successful trade deadline looks like Giannis Antetokounmpo.
See,
I mean, what do you want?
You're trolling the fans. You're trolling the fans now.
No, I mean, taking him out of the equation.
Right.
It looks like you were able to flip guys who are not in the rotation, and you were able to get guys who will be a part of the rotation. That looks like a successful trade deadline, because right now, Yabusele is giving you nothing. Hakeem Dadier is giving you nothing. Arrowhead Porty is giving you nothing. If you're able to use these contracts and get back guys that can contribute, that's a successful trade deadline.
I think that's pretty fair. All right, we have a lot more coming up this week on New York Got Game. We will see what the Knicks are able to do at the deadline. But for right now, 6 wins in a row. Knicks are starting to play a little bit of defense. That is Stefan Bondy. I'm Dexter Henry. We'll catch you next time on another edition of New York Got Game.
And thanks for watching New York Got Game. Boom shakalaka.